100%, yes. If you understand how the algorithm works, that YouTube's not trying to find viewers for your video. They're trying to find videos for the viewers. So they need to know which type of audience to put your stuff in front of. And if you're confusing the algorithm, it's going to say, okay, we don't really know who to put that video in front of, because the algorithm only cares about maximum retention. That's all it cares about.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Normally, and for the past 12 years, we have been brought to you by the good folks over at TubeBuddy. I'm here to say there's no hard feelings, but that partnership has ended, and we are no longer a primary sponsor of TubeBuddy. I wish them well, but now I am going to bring the show to you for a little while from all the things that we have to offer, which is my one-on-one coaching, which is really booming right now. If you're looking to connect with a YouTube coach, I'd love to work with you. Our creator communities group is growing faster than ever. We have almost 200 people in there now, where it's over on our Discord server. You can ask people, rub shoulders with other creators. It's a great place just to be around other exciting and vibrant creators and past guests of the podcast. $5 gets you in that group, as well as our monthly mastermind calls that I host on Zoom, as well as I used to do a show called TubeBuddy Express, which was a 6 to 10 minute audio episode or a thought I was having about the content creator space or being a YouTuber or a podcaster or just running your own business. That is now going to be behind the paywall to support the show. So basically, if you want those audio episodes, I'm going to post those on Patreon every week, where I talk about a topic that's on my mind about building and growing your brand. If you're looking to start, grow, or monetize, definitely go check that out. When it comes to bringing another sponsor onto this podcast, it may take a while because I'm only going to bring people on the show that I truly believe in and that I use. So if you're looking to support me in this podcast, leave us a review. It's absolutely free. Or check out one of the ways you can connect with me and support the show. I would really appreciate it. And again, one final farewell and thank you to the fine folks over at TubeBuddy. They have been a pleasure to work with. And all the way back when Phil used to own it, when they were just getting started, they were so kind to me and they were willing to put their necks out for me until the show started getting some traction. So thank you to those guys. So that will be the last time you hear me mention that tool on this show. All right, guys, with that said, we have some amazing interviews coming up over the next few weeks, and they're only getting better, it seems. If you're looking to maybe request someone to come on this show, there's a link in the show notes down below. I'm also going to be doing some new things going forward as far as people always ask me, what books do you recommend? What are you reading? I'm basically just going to have one URL, dustyporter.com/books, where I have a running list of books that I recommend and things that I'm reading. And if you're looking just to keep up with me and what I'm doing behind the scenes, the weekly newsletter, which is called the Entrepreneur's Minute, is something that I release every Friday. You can see past episodes of that on my website as well, but basically it's free. You subscribe to the newsletter every Friday morning or afternoon, depending on what kind of week I'm having. I'll publish a new version of that. And so that's something that I'm really enjoy doing right now. And I'm also got a couple other podcasts that I'm going to be either one of them bringing back to life, and the other one is going to be a completely new launch for entrepreneurs where I interview people who are doing things to make money with their businesses in unique and different ways, and highlighting just basically high achievers and people who are doing things the right way. And speaking of the right way, this next guest definitely has done and is doing that. So let's go ahead and jump into this week's conversation. Hello and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I'm joined today by Nate Muri from the Garden Like-a-Viking YouTube channel. I love that name. I told him off air, it's such a clever name, and it's one of the things that made me really take attention and watch a bunch of his videos. But Nate is a creator and has been creating now for a little while. He's doing it full time, and he teaches people how to grow their own food using ancient techniques that enrich the land instead of depleting it. So not only does he create informative content, but he's also helping people help each other as well. So Nate, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Good to be here.
Absolutely. So give me and the audience the full story behind the YouTube channel. How did it start? The whole origin story.
Okay, it actually started when I was traveling the world. I traveled a lot in Asia, and I got to experience a whole different way of living in Asia. And in these cultures that in the West, gardening and growing food is like a hobby. But for these cultures, it was a necessity. It was the way of life. And so I really got to spend a lot of time with people who their central focus of their life was growing food. It all revolves around the food, the growing of the food, the harvesting of the food, and the cooking and the sharing of the food. That really got deep into me. And then throughout the course of my travels, which was like a 10-year period, I found myself in Northern California. And then I got really deep into the cannabis farms there, in the commercial cannabis farms in Northern California. And so that's where I really discovered my passion for growing. And from there, I spent 10 years there and learning all different kinds of techniques from all over the world. It's like a hub. Northern California is like a hub of really rich knowledge and experience for growing and passion for growing. So it was amazing for me at that time to be able to really learn and then fine tune my skills there. I became the head grower on a sort of commercial operation there. And then over the years, when that kind of went out of my life, that kind of ran its course. And then I came back to my hometown in northern Indiana, and I found myself with all of these really fine-tuned, useful skills, but not the same industry. And so I thought I should start a YouTube channel to share all of this stuff. And it just went from there. As soon as I started the YouTube channel, it just took off. People have a real hunger for growing their own food and using these techniques.
Garden like a Viking. Where did that come from? Tell me the thought process behind, okay, here's this name, and it's a really great name. Give me the kind of story behind that.
One, it is a way to honor my ancestral heritage, the Scandinavian Vikings, of course. For two, it's a philosophy of living. It's like a Viking. The Vikings were very clever people. They were adaptive, and they had a deep, burning desire for exploration. And so I used that as my philosophy. When I went out traveling throughout the world, I just had this deep hunger to explore and to learn and to know and to see distant lands, to see new ways of doing things. And when I started the channel, I was like, you know what? Garden like a Viking in that sense. Honor your ancestors and maintain these practices that have been done for thousands of years that you've learned all over the world, and flow and adapt just like your ancestors did. The spirit of the Vikings, and I don't necessarily mean historical Vikings. Right now, the spirit is alive and well in me.
So let me ask you this. How did the early phases of the channel go? So when you started the channel, what worked and what didn't, and what were some things that you had to tweak to get the channel going?
Yes, I actually started a couple of other channels 5 years ago, give or take. And they didn't really do anything because I didn't really have a focus. I was like posting traveling stuff, videos about my travels, and then I would post things about meditation, and then I would post a couple gardening things. And the algorithm, I didn't understand this at the time, but the algorithm didn't know what audience to put my videos in front of. I was confusing it with all different kinds of stuff. And so neither of those channels really did anything for a couple of years. So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to start a whole new channel dedicated specifically to this one thing, and that is growing your own food and becoming as healthy as possible through growing the food. The food is a means to an end, and the end is becoming thriving and healthy. And once I did that in my mind, I said, okay, I'm going to focus just on this. And so I came up, before I even started the channel, I came up with a theme. I came up with the font. I came up with the color scheme. I came up with the thumbnails, how it's going to look, all my branding and stuff, because I had learned these things over the past couple years of failures and on the other channels. And then once I started it, I made a couple of videos, and then I went to other people in the niche. I went to other people's channels and started sniping in the comments, being like, giving a useful piece of advice, and then being like, yeah, I share these kind of things on my channel. And that just got the first 1,000 subscribers, like in a month.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, and so then from there, it just snowballed. So then I used the feedback, and I'm very responsive to the comments, or at least I was when the channel was still manageable like that. So every comment I responded to, and I asked them back, what would you like to see? And then what they described pretty much was my content ideas. And so I just went with that.
I love that. I love that you were in the comment sections of other kind of creators and getting your name out there. I think that's a great tactic, and there's nothing wrong with that. You go in there, you're being active, you're improving their videos by adding value, and then you're adding value to yourself as well by getting your name recognition and name out there. I want to mention and highlight one thing that you did say. You were talking about the other failed channels and what you learned, and then the thing that really helped you take off was really niching down into a very specific topic. So not just gardening, not cooking, not just food, but an actual sub niche within a space of, I'm going to teach people how to grow their own food that doesn't harm the land and the environment, and to do it in a healthy way. And you had your avatar, you had your person. I call them an avatar, you can call them whatever you want to call them. What do you think the importance of that was, of knowing that beforehand? And then you mentioned already having your branding in place. So speak about that, of knowing that beforehand, and how that really probably helped you set you off on a good path.
Yes, that's a great question. And I developed the ability over the years of traveling throughout the world to flow and to understand what my heart is trying to tell me, to understand what my gut is telling me, and to not really think about things too much. That's what kept me safe in all these gnarly, far out situations, was listening to my gut or my heart, whatever you want to call it. And so when the time came that I said, okay, I'm going to start this channel, and I need to formulate all these things right from the very beginning. I didn't sit there and think about it a whole lot. I wasn't like, oh, but this font doesn't do this. Oh, but this color scheme. I didn't fret about it. I just listened in a type of meditation. I listened to my heart, and it said this one. And then it said, do it like this. Okay, get it done. Just get it done, and you can progress from there if you need to. But you will learn as you go. And I live by saying, done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Because in my other channels, I was fretting for so long. Oh, is this font? Is this exact color scheme? Or well, what if I want to change it later? I just stopped worrying about all that. I just listened to my heart. It said, choose these ones and go with it. And then you'll grow from there. And it did.
Creators are often paralyzed by that fear of, like you said, of just perfection, of this edit isn't quite right, or the color grading isn't quite right, or the font, like you mentioned on the thumbnail, is not quite right. But being able to go beyond that is powerful. And so I'm really excited to hear you say that. Just to circle back around to the niching down, do you believe that at all had a big role in the success of the channel, that you didn't focus on a big broad topic?
100%. Yes. If you understand how the algorithm works, that YouTube's not trying to find viewers for your video. They're trying to find videos for the viewers. So they need to know which type of audience to put your stuff in front of. And if you're confusing the algorithm, it's going to say, okay, we don't really know who to put that video in front of, because the algorithm only cares about maximum retention. That's all it cares about. And so it doesn't care about you succeeding necessarily. So you have to say, okay, what is my exact audience? That is also what I did. But beforehand, I said, okay, who in my mind, who is the audience, and what kind of value am I giving them? Before I do every video, I say, okay, what is the value that person's going to get from it? Because I'm convinced that if you just create something that is massively valuable, it will find its way out there, and people will find its way to there.
So you mentioned the algorithm and the home feed and all these places, YouTube, someone with two small kids. I'm very scared of the algorithm. I hate the algorithm at times, because with my kids, there's things that pop up that just shouldn't. The very little time that we give them with the screens to watch something, I very much put them on something that I can designate the path, as opposed to the home feed or browse feed. But you've done a really good job, because your videos came up in my home feed, and I don't think I was looking for anything in particular that was very much in relation to your content, which is interesting, and we can go down that rabbit hole if we want. But what have you learned about the algorithm and being able to show up in or on the home feed and in suggested?
Yes, I've learned that the algorithm can be trained in many ways, and that at first I was very resistant to it. No, I'm not, this AI, all this technology, it's trying to social engineer and things. But then I came to the understanding, I said, okay, like it or not, we're surrounded by algorithms, and this is my new profession. And so this is the platform. This is the tools that we have. So instead of resisting it and being afraid of it, learn how to work with it. Learn how to train it to your greatest advantage, so that But you have to be steadfast, and you have to only do things. You have to stay focused. You can't let it take you outside to other focuses, to the point now where like my home feed is only good, beneficial stuff, things that are inspiring to me, things that will give me new content ideas. There's none of the nonsensical entertainment, political stuff, or whatever it is. It's just focused.
That's awesome. You've tailored the algorithm to you and to what you want. As a creator, someone who creates videos, do you think about the data and the analytics? What do you look at when you go into your YouTube analytics? We oftentimes talk about watch time, and time on platform is something I'm big on. You mentioned something a few minutes ago about YouTube's looking for that they just want people to stay on their platform. That's really it. That's the main goal of YouTube, to see more ads, to monetize that viewer, to get them on platform longer so they can pitch that to the sponsors and things like that. But as a creator, what are you looking at? What numbers matter to you?
At first, I really obsessed over the numbers, and the channel was growing exponentially at first. It was just really shocking. For whatever reason, it grew really fast. And so I just kept going and going. But then there came a time when the numbers, if you live by the numbers, it can be really disheartening. That can be really demotivating. And so I went through like a lull where I stopped making content and stuff because it wasn't performing like the other ones were. And I'm like, what was going on? Racking my brain, trying to figure all this stuff out. But then over the past 3 years of the channel stuff, I just come to the understanding that you won't ever fully understand the algorithm. It's a complex web of interconnectivity that has its own sort of thing. So instead, what I can't control that, but what I can control is the high quality content that I'm putting out. And so I can make sure that I'm not wasting my viewers' time. I can make sure that every video says, okay, what is the value? And then most importantly, I've developed a really tight-knit community. I do a live stream. So I do a full-length video once a week. I do a short video across all platforms once a week. And then I do a Saturday, 12 noon Eastern time live stream. So that where it's a live Q&A. And it's the live stream that really turned the audience into a community. The people, they all know each other. We're all given, there's 200, 300, 400 people in the live chat, and it's just awesome. So having that diversity of things has really helped a lot.
So you think that the live stream is probably the main cog in building that community around your brand, in that these people are there I think that the consistency of it, I went to your channel and I went to the live tab, and you've been doing the stream consistently every single Saturday at the same time. It's almost like these people are back in the day, old school TV, network TV, where they are expecting you to go live with the new episode every single week. The power of the community building, of these people seeing each other, they're getting to know each other. And the same thing happens to me in our creator community group on Discord, our Discord server, that these people have grown into little subgroups around different topics and things within the creator space, and they've met with each other outside of things like at cons and things of that nature. And as far as a live stream goes, what tips can you give for creators who are on the fence about going live or doing it, even if they're a small creator, a huge creator? What tips or advice would you give people in the streaming space?
Yes, that's a wonderful topic and question, because for me, the live streams are powerful. They're what build the community, the loyal followers, the people who every video you put out, they want to know because they feel vested in your life. They feel vested in they want to know. People all the time will just donate through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. Hey, just thinking about you, just like they're a friend. And they are in many ways. And so what I would say to people that are thinking about the live streams is for one, you just have to put yourself out there. Don't worry about, oh no, am I going to say the right things, or am I going to do any of that? You'll learn as you go. Just begin. Just start it. And even if you got 5 people there, imagine if you were in a room with 5 or 20 or 40 people. 40 people would seem like a lot. If that's all, you're like, there's only 40 people watching. That would be a whole room full of people. And so you really view it as though you are just sitting in a room talking with 300 of your friends. That's how you view it. You're just sitting down, having a conversation with friends. And then another thing that's really important, in my opinion, and experience, is to focus on the audience. Don't just sit there and talk about yourself and blah, blah, blah. Take their questions and really make them relevant. Put it up on screen and say, so-and-so wanted to know this. And then if you see a certain name, say, hey, Dusty, haven't seen you here in a couple of weeks. Good to see you again. It's that personal touch, but it's genuine as well.
What's the tech side of things look like? How do you handle it? Give us start to finish. How do you schedule it? What hardware and software is involved? Just tell us about the barrier to entry.
hmm Yeah, so I am the kind of creator that I am not into the tech aspect of this whole thing. I use it as a tool, as a means to an end. I only am into the tech so much as I have to be in order to connect with the audience and make the videos. But for the live streams, I use StreamYard. Ever since YouTube mobile made you go vertical, I can't use that. And so I use StreamYard now. And so I schedule them on Wednesdays. I'll schedule it for Saturday. That way people can bookmark it and everything. And I've got the same exact thumbnail. And this won't work for everybody, but I've got the same exact thumbnail for my live streams. I just changed the date on it. That's it. Each week I just change the date so that the people know, oh, there's the live stream and there's the upcoming date. And so I use that. I use this Yeti Blue microphone or the Rode Wireless Go 2. Pretty simple. And I do everything on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. I mean, all the filming, everything. I've got an M7 gimbal that I use for gardening footage and stuff like that. But it's pretty simple. I do everything on Mac. And yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted, because I figured that was the case with kind of you with the iPad and everything. People all the time tell me, I don't have the correct gear, or I don't have the right microphone or the right camera. That should never be the thing that stops you. Use what you have and be able to put yourself out there. So it's good to hear you say that.
Yes, that's 100% my advice, is to use what you have and to realize that the storyline, the content is king, is much more important. You can film magnificent stuff, huge channels even. You can film great stuff, get your point across with your iPhone and just a little microphone. So do not get stuck in that gear paradox where you think that you need this latest gear, or that if I just had this more expensive camera, then I would be able to do this or that. Just get started with what you got.
You mentioned story and quality content. Explain how you incorporate story into your videos and how you've gotten better over time at being a storyteller. One of the things that I do when I have a guest on is I go watch one of their first videos, and then I go watch one of their most recent videos to see the growth of where they were and where they are now. And I did that with you, of course. And like everyone, we've all improved over time. I've gone back and listened to episode 1 through 5 of this podcast, and I sound like a different human. And now we're episode 440 into this thing, and I've learned what works and what doesn't for me. I've learned more about conversation. I've learned more about asking questions and dialogue. But for you as a creator and a storyteller, what have you done to improve your chops at storytelling and to implement that into the videos?
Yes. Mine, because I had 3 different channels. So I also have a channel called Travel Like a Viking, which got very few views. And that was one of the kind of failure channels. But it taught me so much about storytelling. At that time, I actually made those videos like 5 years ago. And so at that time, I was really into the Casey Neistat vlogging, like storytelling. And so I made dozens of videos with that whole sort of, I'm telling a story. And it crafted my mind so that I could develop the blueprint or the thought process to view every video like a story. It has a beginning, it has a middle, like a meat, it has a climax and an ending. And when I approach, so once I started the gardening channel, I said, okay, everyone has to be, it's still a story, even though that they're tutorials. My channel's educational mostly, as opposed to entertainment. There is still a storyline, and people still want to feel like they're being led on a journey.
Yeah, being led on a journey is important. And I think that as creators, we have to evolve over time and think, back in the day, 10 years ago, what worked even for my channel doing technology tutorials would not work now, just because of the way that we consume media. The consumption of media now is so quick, and it's oftentimes a swipe of the finger up or down of what is the next short. I've been hesitant to accept that is the case. I've been hesitant to accept that our attention spans are dropping, and the days of people watching 25-minute tutorials 10 years ago, 12 years ago, that was commonplace. But now I try to be quicker with my transitions. I don't have an intro that's long and drawn out. I try to really cut the fluff and the fat, knowing my audience, knowing how people are consuming content. How do you how do you tailor your videos knowing how people consume nowadays?
Right. That is a wonderful point. And you would have a very good perspective on that because 10 years ago, YouTube was a whole different world 8 years ago. And so, yes, that has dramatically changed. And two things. One was that, so I am experimenting. I'm learning new software, Premiere Pro. Guys, up until now, I have literally used iMovie for my editing. Literally iMovie, the simplest, freest stuff. And that grew to almost 200,000 subs with that. So making those kind of videos, it's not about the software. But this new software, though, Premiere Pro, is enabling me to add graphics, to add bullet points, to add things because you're right. It's just the nature of the beast. It's the reality that we live in. People's attention spans, they need that now. It's not like it was. You can't just have a talking head where I'm just telling you information for 15 minutes. That will click next. So you need to make a good combination of engaging and informative. Now, at the same time, the other aspect of that is that I also don't edit anything in what I call the TikTok ADHD method of editing. Cut, zip, pow, bang, boom, bam, wow, zip, boom. I don't edit anything like that because even though I know many things would go viral, my Instagram is edited like that because that's the nature of Instagram. But my all my YouTube content and stuff, I don't do it like that. I refuse to. And it's because I don't even want to attract those kind of people. I don't need to attract those kind of people. I'd rather have fewer high quality followers and tribe members. I call my crew a tribe. So I'd rather have actual tribe members with a longer attention span that want to know the information, that want to understand things, as opposed to just attracting more viewers, but just with the fractured attention span. So if
you talked about doing the live stream, but what have you learned about vertical video, like YouTube Shorts? You mentioned, I think it's hilarious that you said about the TikTok editing style of just boom, bet you're right. It is like that. It's just like sometimes you get dizzy watching some of it. What have you learned about vertical video? Because you do a YouTube short a week or a two, whatever it may be, and they get thousands, tens of thousands of views, sometimes even more than that. What role does that format play in your growth strategy?
When they first came out, I was like, oh no, here we go. A whole nother thing I'm going to have to do. A whole nother thing that I'm going to have to learn to edit and everything. But then I realized that they are a way, the shorts I use as a way to, one, drive people to the long form stuff through establishing your authority in your niche. And so I will use that to quickly overwhelm them with a bunch of information so that they're like, whoa, okay. So obviously this guy knows what he's talking about. Let's see if he has any, deeper content for that. And so you don't ever really give them the whole, you can't in 49 or 59 seconds, but you don't give them the whole thing. You just have to whet their appetite and use that to grow the channel. And so that's what I use the vertical format for. It's not about, because you don't make money on it. You can and stuff if you go viral and things, but it's more about expanding your reach is what the vertical is used for.
Let's talk about money and monetization. If you don't mind, can you share with us the different methods or ways that you make money as a creator, where YouTube fits into that, as well as maybe on average what you might make on a month now that you are doing this full time?
So it really changed a lot. 3 years ago when I first got monetized, I was like, okay, so this is how everyone's making money off of AdSense. When you hear people are full-time creators and you see that they're getting properties and getting new farms and stuff, and I was like, okay, I can't wait for that to happen. And so really for the first 2 years, I was waiting for that to happen. And even if you're getting a lot of stuff, a lot of views, the actual YouTube AdSense isn't how these people are making real money. So much to my chagrin, I had to realize that. And once I did, then I thought, okay, so YouTube and the social media is really ideal for building an audience, but to direct towards other things, to use that as a mean to direct towards other things. Okay. And now I'm developing courses that I will then be selling. I haven't launched them yet. I've developed a granular fertilizer that I ship, that I mix myself and I ship out to people. I've got several brand deals, affiliates, not too many though, because there's not many products I actually believe in. But the most that the AdSense, when I was getting like 20,000 views a day on stuff, 20, 40,000 views a day and stuff, I was making $5-6 grand a month just off of the AdSense on that, which was nice. But the thing with the AdSense is that it fluctuates dramatically. You can't rely on that. So if you're starting out, okay, it's nice to get monetized, but don't plan on YouTube AdSense being your bread and butter, because if something happens, like for example, in the fall time, in the winter time, my views like plummet because nobody's gardening. And so it goes from 5,200 a month to 1,500 a month. And so if you've got like payments and stuff like that, bills, then that's not okay.
Yeah.
And so
Load up in the summer for the hibernation in the winter. All things are seasonal. I had a creator that was over 1 million subscribers on the podcast a few months ago, and he covered the National Basketball League, the NBA. And basically he was saying that from Halloween until early summer, it's go time. He's got to make the money. He's got to get it, because once the off season's here, he might have a couple of weeks of trades and deadlines and things like that. But after that, it's dead for a few months until it's back at it again. So understanding your audience and the season that you're in and getting the monetization tailored to where you're not so dependent on that. And I think that people who are listening to this that are not partnered yet, that are not monetized, it's very important they listen to what you're saying, because you can be preparing the other monetization methods well before you get monetized. People are monetizing outside of AdSense YouTube channels and content that don't even have 5,000 subscribers. I know that some people are making 5 digits a month. We're talking 10 grand and beyond with very small subscriber bases that may not have the watch time metric or the subscribers yet. But it's important that you listen to what Nate's talking about. So I'm so glad that you shared that with us. Go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah. And I was just going to say, if you're starting out or if you're new to it, then you can approach your content with that in mind already. So for example, AdSense, a few grand a month. Okay, that's nice. But then also once you get to a certain level, brands will pay you $1,500 for one video just to mention them and show their product in one video, $1,500 to your PayPal account, just like that. And so if you had a couple of those and you get like a 5-month contract, they're like, okay, we want one video every month where you talk about us for 30 seconds, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So those are all really good things. So you got a couple of those happening. You got AdSense happening. You got maybe your courses happening. You got maybe some consulting happening from all that. All that combines to make a pretty nice living.
Absolutely. What is next for the Garden Like a Viking YouTube channel? What are your plans, short term and long term?
Short term is I just did a massive garden renovation here, and it's going to be pumping out lots of good high quality content this summer. Going to continue doing the live streams. Got my fertilizers that'll be available on gardenlikeaviking.com here in the next couple of weeks. And then medium term, I'm developing the courses, beginner gardening courses and homemade fertilizer courses, because getting the information from YouTube is wonderful, but it's just not as well mapped out as like a course can be. A course can get the bread and butter, can be the real good stuff. And so I'm developing the courses, but then the long-term plan is I will be getting property. We'll be getting property, and then we will start like the Viking homestead, where we will expand everything exponentially. And then we will have a school where people will come and learn these things in person. That's really that's what it's all about, having the school to teach these skills.
It's so exciting that YouTube allows creators like yourself in such a unique space to talk about and share your knowledge and to connect with people all over the world, right? That have the same like-mindedness that you have about taking care of our environment, taking care of their health, and then being very intrigued with growing their own crops. And you doing that and finding those people and reaching out to them and going on a live stream every week. And so the YouTube that I know and love is not about artificial intelligence or whatever. It's about the true creators that actually get in front of the camera or behind the microphone, and they share their knowledge or they share their joy that make people laugh and entertained. Again, I've been joined today by Nate Muri from Garden Like a Viking. His channel's almost at 200,000 subscribers as of recording this. He's got an awesome community over there. And Nate, I really appreciate you joining us this week.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. I know I enjoyed having it. If you're looking for ways to connect with us and just support the show, if you've gotten anything out of the show, you can do so by reaching out to me to possibly hire me as your YouTube or brand partner coach. If you're looking for someone to go alongside you, I've got a couple of packages as well as one-off calls that are on my website where you can reach out to me and do that, as well as our creator community group, which is probably the best bang for your buck in the YouTube space. So if you're looking to talk with other YouTube creators, run ideas by people who are doing the same thing you're doing, or just get an idea on that most recent thumbnail, the Creator Communities group is your place. And then if you're available, you have access to our monthly mastermind calls, as well as now the TubeBuddy Express podcast, which is a 6 to 10 minute what's on my mind in the creator space. That audio is going to be under that feed as well. So if that's something you're looking into, go to our Patreon down below. I'd appreciate the support. Leave a review of the show if you haven't already, and check out our weekly newsletter where I talk about what's going on behind the scenes in my business and what I think can help you move the needle. And with that said, talk to you next week.